Hi, I'm Mark Christopher. Welcome to Woodmark. Today, would Mark take a piece of Canadian naval history and turn it into a pen? Yes, I would. Head over to the bandsaw. We're going to cut at the length. Then we'll find the center of it. We'll drill a hole in the middle of it.
So, how did I end up with this piece of Canadian nautical history, you ask? For that, we have to go back to Lunenburg, Nova Scotia, March 1921, where the schooner Bluenose was launched under the command of Captain Angus Walters. She was built to be a racing ship that would reclaim the International Fisherman's Trophy from the Americans, as well as a fishing craft on the Grand Banks of Newfoundland. She never lost a race in 17 years and retired undefeated. She was commemorated on a Canadian 50-cent stamp in 1929, a 60-cent stamp in 1982, and a 37-cent stamp honoring Captain Walters in 1988. She has adorned the Canadian 10-cent piece since 1937, and in 1955 was the first non-human inducted into the Canadian Sports Hall of Fame. She is also on our provincial license plates here in Nova Scotia. Fishing schooners became obsolete in the 30s, and despite the best efforts to keep her in Nova Scotia, led in part by her former master, Captain Walters, she was sold off in 1942 to become a tramp freighter in the Caribbean. In 1946, with a load of bananas aboard, she struck a reef off Haiti on the island of Hispaniola and foundered. Fortunately, there was no loss of life. In 1963, the Olin Brewery of Halifax, using the original Bluenose plans, commissioned and launched the Bluenose II in Lunenburg. They consulted with Walters on the build and used some of the same craftsmen who had built her namesake in 1921. She was to serve 8 years as a marketing tool for the company's schooner logger, before being sold in 1971 to the Nova Scotia government for $1. Well, 10 dimes. Bluenose II serves as a goodwill ambassador, a tourist attraction in Lunenburg, and a symbol of the province. During the summer, she visits ports all around Nova Scotia and frequently sails to other ports on the eastern seaboard. Bluenose II has one of the largest mainsails in the world, measuring 386 square meters, 4,155 square feet. She has a total sail area of 1,036 square meters, or 11,150 square feet. In honor of her predecessor, Bluenose II does not officially race. In 2009, a major refit and restoration was undertaken. Though put back into the water in 2014, she is not expected to resume operations until 2015. This reclaimed piece of wood comes from this current restoration. Interestingly, the diagonals of the woodwork is laminated together have some areas that are impregnated with salt from years at sea that really dull my chisels and gouges. It is a constant battle to keep my tool sharp while turning this wood on the lathe. Made of oak, teak, and mahogany, in limited supply and dripping with Canadiana, these pens are in high demand from sailors of all descriptions.
Some pieces were obviously closer to the water than others. And here comes Shopcat to agree with me. Now to find the center of our piece. Smack there, turn it. Another smack there. And if the camera picked it up, you can see where the... Okay, we've got our brad point centered in the divot I made where the X's met there to find dead center. So now it's I've got it in my vise, and now we'll just drill it out. It's important to go slow with this. Here we have it. Our hole is through and through. It's looking pretty good for being centered in the middle of the blank. So we're gonna have we should have good success with this blank. Okay, now that we have our tubes all drilled out, what I'm gonna do is we're gonna take these brass tubes, hit it with some CA glue, and we're gonna put them in. But first, just rough up the tube barrels. I just happen to be using a bit of 150 sandpaper. It's just to give the glue a little bit more surface area to grab onto, so make a good mechanical connection between the tube and the blank. So just give that a little bit of a twisting action there. Just grab a little CA glue, cyanacrylate, otherwise known as crazy glue, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to get that on there. Now, normally I wear gloves because obviously it's crazy glue, but I can't find them right now, so all I'm doing is I'm just going to give that a little bit of a twisting action just to spin it around there, and I'm just going to flip it back the other way, make sure we got a good seal on the end in here, and just poke that in just a little bit more. Don't have a lot of time with this. This is thick CA glue. It's good for gap filling, which is good. So now that I actually put the tubes in, I realized that I didn't cap the ends with some base plate wax. Thanks to my sister-in-law Joan, love you. What it does is it just seals the end of the tube so that when it goes into the blank, there's no chance of getting glue on the inside of the barrel. Anyway, we're just going to have to solder on. It actually looks pretty clean in there, so it's all good. I'm waiting for the glue to dry. A couple other interesting pieces of wood. This came out of a Jack Daniel's whiskey barrel, and you can see a little label on it there. The pens I make from these come with a certificate of authenticity, as do the Bluenose II pens and the Bethlehem olive wood. That's from the olive trees in the Holy Land. They're quite popular. They're beautiful wood to turn. The Jack Daniel's blank, you can see there's the charring from the inside, from where they char the barrels prior to filling. The really cool thing with this, when you're drilling it and when you have it on the lathe, you can smell the Jack Daniel's. So if you like Jack, that's one for you. This is another piece of the another Bluenose II piece. This one is a straight grained. Like I said, they do come in different parts of the ship, come with different types of wood. It's kind of a grab bag. Supplies are kind of getting low. I'm going to try and source some more before they're gone. This is Wengi. This is it's an African hardwood. As are most of the woods I tend to get. I don't know why. I've got some lace wood. That's absolutely beautiful. Another lace wood. This is African Padouk. That is such a pretty color. It is a beautiful red. I don't know if the lighting will kind of show it, but it is a beautiful color. There's the Purple Heart, and its cousin, sister, whatever, is Yellow Heart, and that is it's a lovely yellow. Some zebra wood. That's zebra. Here's a lovely example of the bird's eye maple. That's another popular choice for the 30 caliber bullet pens. Not much left. That's actually called Nogel. That's probably my second most popular one for the 30 caliber bullets. Kind of resembles gun stock. This is 5,000 years old. That's what they've got it tagged as. It's incredibly light. It's some teak from a friend in India who was kind enough to bring some back to me. Some walnut from a Canadian Coast Guard vessel, one of the icebreakers that was just came back from the expedition to the North Pole. Very good friend of mine, Colin, was talking with the ship's carpenter, and they were redoing the handrails on the Coast Guard vessel. So I'll be turning some pens out of that, and anybody who's ever served on the Coast Guard ships, I guess would be a very apropos gift. So, anyway, that's some of the different types of wood that I have. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim the barrels, and what it does is it just puts a shoulder. You can see, you should be able to see that there. It just puts a shoulder right here, and it gives us a nice straight surface to reference off of when we put our bushings into the piece and then mount it on the lathe. And you just do it just until the brass starts to shine. There, you can kind of see it right there. Once the brass starts to shine, you've gone far enough. So now we'll mount our bushings. We're just going to insert them. One in there, and the other one. Comme ça. To mount it to the lathe with. So it just pushes through. Okay, so we're here at the lathe, and we're going to mount our blank in. So it just slides in. I'm going to slide up my tailstock, lock that in place, and I'm just going to give that a little bit of a turn there, make sure it's spinning good, and it is. Lock that down so it doesn't go anywhere. Like I said, this one here I'm just using as a spacer, but this is going to be the one that we're going to turn. A 3/4 inch roughing gouge. I tend to use roughing gouges the most. I don't know why. I just like them. I just do them. I do have other gouges, but this is the one that I like the most. It's freshly sharpened, so we should be good to go. I can actually feel the chisel getting dull, so I do touch it up on the sharpener. Okay, I'm actually pretty happy with that. So move this out of the way. And now for the part of woodworking I hate. I think everybody hates it. Sanding. These pens actually get sanded with 16 different grit. I start off at 120, go up to 150, 180, 220, 320, 400, 600 grit, and then I switch to my micro mesh pads, which run from 1500 grit all the way up to 12,000. And we're done. Put a little bit of polish on this and we'll be good to go. My finish of choice is just some good old boiled linseed oil. Okay, so we've got it off the lathe here now, and I think you can probably see the coloration in that. It came out quite lovely. I'm sure that my coworker Kim will be pleased with it. So now all that's left to do is to turn it into a pen. Okay, we're ready to assemble our pen. We've got our blank, we've got our nib, we've got our back end with the bolt action, we've got a spring, and we have our refill. It's just a standard Parker refill. So all we're going to do is we're just going to insert this just to get it started, and I'm just going to put it into my pen press, and next just going to fit the back end in. It's in. Here we go. We've got a piece of reclaimed wood from the Bluenose II. It's a 30 cal bullet with a rifle for the clip, and a bolt action slide for the clip. And that meowing you hear in the background is time for me to say so long. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Woodmark. You know, you're ruining my close-up.